Want to know the thing that got me into konnyaku? Well, thank you for asking. I think I'll tell you. And what I think it is miso. In fact, I remember one of the first times that I ever ate miso dengaku was in Kyoto with my family. We were traveling and we ended up eating at a restaurant, one of those restaurants up in the hills, and it was very peaceful, and it was a tatami room, which is basically a flat, you sit on the floor, and we had some delicious tofu dishes, tofu ryori, and as well as miso dengaku with some fu, namafu, which is sort of like a sweet, savory, chewy, I guess, type of food that's coated with this delicious sauce known as miso dengaku. And I'm pretty sure that that was the turning point when I realized that konnyaku is one of my favorite foods, especially when you eat it with something like miso dengaku. So that's a little story for you. So today what we're going to be doing is making konnyaku 3 delicious ways. And in case you missed my last video about shirataki noodles, you may want to check that out because chances are if you like konnyaku, you might like shirataki noodles, and if you like shirataki noodles, chances are you might like konnyaku. And you guess why? Well, they're made with the same ingredients, yet they're used for slightly different foods. So you should have, by the end of the time you finish watching this video, 3 new delicious ways to enjoy konnyaku, plus 3 delicious ways to enjoy shirataki noodles if you didn't yet watch that last video. And you might remember what I told you in that last video was that I was able to bite into that lemon without just the slightest wince or feeling of discomfort, and it has to do with these little things, which I will be telling you all about towards the end of this video, so stay tuned. So I'm curious, question of the day, have you ever used konnyaku in your cooking yet? And if you have, what did you use it for? And if you haven't, let me know in the comments if you think you will be trying any of these dishes that we're going to be going through today. Ikuzo, let's go. So although we're not going to be making miso dengaku, which is actually one of my favorite ways to enjoy konnyaku, we are going to be using konnyaku in 3 other delicious ways, and chances are you might like at least one of them, if not both of them, if not all 3 of them. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, and I guess if you can't wait for that miso dengaku, gaman dekinai no, go ahead and check the link in the description below for my tofu cookbook, Tofu Ryori, which has 30 delicious Japanese tofu recipes, as well as a recipe for miso dengaku with which you can use konnyaku if you cannot wait. For the first konnyaku dish, we're going to be making kaminari konnyaku. Kaminari in Japanese means thunder, and the reason that it's called that is because of the sound that it makes on the stove. It's going that's my thunder sound effect, and that is going to be essentially the noise that the konnyaku makes on the stove on a smaller scale. Chances are if it was a large piece of konnyaku, maybe the thunder would actually sound kind of scary. So basically this dish gets its name from the noise that it makes on the stove. And it may lack a little bit of bass. I suppose it's close. And I actually like this dish a little bit on the spicier side. So we are going to be using some shichimi, which is a 7 flavor or 7 ingredients pepper to spice things up. You can also use red pepper flakes or maybe even ichimi, which is just 1 pepper. And it's very delicious and very savory. Do you like your food spicy? Let me know in the comments right now. I'd be curious. Oh yeah, and if you're scared that your konnyaku is going to explode or pop all over the place, it may make a little bit of a mess, and so I would recommend that you use a deeper frying pan if you have one. You can even use your Dutch oven as well if you don't have a deep frying pan, or alternatively splatter guards. A couple ideas for you to minimize the splatter, and of course you could always wear some goggles to protect your eyes, or just stand away from the stove while you're cooking. Totally up to you. Konnichiwa, Pat Tokuyama here, creator of the Japanese Cooking Club, where I help people learn how to make plant-based Japanese food. Subscribe if you'd like to see more plant-based Japanese cooking videos like these. And I have all of my ingredients here to go for the first dish. So this first dish is actually going to be a konnyaku itame, also known as a stir fry. And basically what we're going to be using is about 1 block of konnyaku, which has been parboiled to remove excess odor and moisture. Also about an equivalent quantity of eringi, which is a king mushroom. You may find these in the mushroom section. I don't know where else they would be. And I have quartered them into small pieces, about the same size as the konnyaku, which I've cut into small strips. So this is what these look like, nice and jiggly. And then here we're going to be using about maybe about a quarter cup-ish of green onions, and about 2 tablespoons of shoyu, soy sauce, about 3 tablespoons of osake, and about 2 tablespoons of mirin. And to keep things a little bit on the spicy side, we're going to be using about a quarter teaspoon of shichimi. Having a brain fart there. And for our oil, we're going to be using some sesame oil. So I have my pot right here ready to go. It's not really a pot, it's a pan. It's my electric skillet. And the first thing that we're going to do is throw on some of the oil and cook the mushrooms, because the mushrooms need to be cooked. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon. Okay, so there's that. So as soon as the mushrooms start to sizzle, I'm going to use 2 different colored chopsticks. That's how I roll. Just kidding. I don't know where my other matching pair went. So we're going to brown the mushrooms for a few minutes, and once they are cooked and heated through, then we'll throw on the konnyaku, and then we'll add in all of the sauces, the sauce ingredients, the mirin, the osake, and the shoyu, and then we'll finish it off with a little bit of the shichimi pepper, and that's going to be essentially it for our first konnyaku dish, our okazu. I suppose that you could eat this as a main dish if you wanted to eat it with some rice. Totally up to you. All right, so the mushrooms have started to brown a little bit. You can see here, got some nice caramelization going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop in the konnyaku, as well as the sauce ingredients. So first we're gonna put in the shoyu, the mirin, and the osake. Make sure it's all evenly distributed, and go ahead and put in the shichimi pepper as well. You can use a little bit more if you want things very spicy, or you can cut back a little bit, and if you can't find shichimi pepper, you could also just use red pepper flakes. So as soon as the liquid has reduced, that is going to be the end of our cooking for our first dish. So there you go. That's the first dish. So the second dish that we're going to be making today has been sort of influenced by India, one of my favorite countries to visit. We went there, Emmy and I visited back in 2012, and it's said that you've never really traveled until you have gone to India. Chances are if you've gone to India, you could relate, and I can actually totally agree with that now that I have been there. It's quite an experience, a sensory experience in terms of the sights, the smells, the sounds. The food was obviously amazingly delicious, and that's one of the main reasons why I enjoyed it so much. There's nothing quite like it. And I guess how this is connected to the dish that we're going to be making right now is that it's going to be using a curry powder, a Japanese curry powder. And yes, India still calls me back. Pato-kun, oide, oide, pato-kun, pato-kun, oide. That's India calling me back. And I think I am going to take up that offer because I really want to go back. The food was that delicious. And although this isn't really an Indian style dish in the sense of using, I guess, true Indian flavors, it is sort of influenced and is a sort of like, I guess, a Japanese style Indian dish. And it's very delicious. You might be surprised how good it tastes. Because it's quite simple to make. So if you want the Japanese curry flavor, then you're gonna have to use the Japanese curry powder, which we are gonna be using for this particular dish. It's pretty easy to find. Usually you can get it on Amazon if you don't have a local Japanese market. And the S&B brand is probably one of the most popular. And it's very mild, so don't worry if you're not used to or you don't prefer spicy, hot, spicy flavors, because Japanese curries tend to be mild. So especially the S&B curry powder brand. That's one thing that you cannot forget to do. Get it? Got it? Good. Oboitoke ne? Don't forget. Wasureru na. So this simple dish cooks up just as quick as the other kaminari konnyaku dish, yet it's a little bit more complex in flavor because of the curry powder and super aromatic. So if you like the smell of curry in your house, in your kitchen, this will do the job. And especially so if you like powerful spicy flavors like kare raisu, which is Japanese style curry rice, katsu kare, which is tonkatsu kare, and maybe even kare udon, which is curry udon. You will not be disappointed. Shinpai sunna. As long as you don't dislike konnyaku, of course. But then again, be wondering why you are watching this video in the first place if you didn't like it. Okay, so here we are with our second konnyaku dish. So for this konnyaku dish, we are going to be using kare powder, kare kona, and it's going to give it a nice curry flavor. If you are into Japanese curry, you're going to probably love this dish. And for seasonings, we're just going to be using a little bit of shoyu, soy sauce, 2 tablespoons, and about a tablespoon of sugar. You can use a little bit more if you want on the sweeter side, if you want it on the sweeter side. And then about a half cup of vegetable stock. Also, alternatively, you can use dashi. And 1 block of white konnyaku that has been scored very gently with a knife in a cross pattern across the entire surface, which is going to help the seasoning to stick to each piece so that you get a very delicious flavor with each bite. So it's totally up to you. You can actually cut these a little bit thinner than I did. I actually like these cubes. You can cut them in half if you want to, but it's a little bit more work because you're gonna have to do twice as much scoring. And then for additional flavor, green onions are my favorite thing to serve with kare. I don't know about you guys, but you can let me know in the comments what you enjoy eating with your kare. Kare raisu is Japanese style curry rice. And that's not what we're making today, but similar flavor. And if you had Japanese curry, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So first thing that we're gonna do is throw on a little bit of olive oil to dehydrate the surface of the konnyaku just a little bit so that it sticks to the seasoning a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here. So while this is going, we're going to let it cook for a couple minutes until you notice that it's going to start browning very slightly. And then we can flip it over, rotate it so that it cooks evenly on all sides. And then what we're going to do is just combine all of the ingredients here. Actually, you can do it right now. You can dissolve some of the sugar in the hot dashi. Alternatively, the vegetable stock, if that's what you're using, you're going to put in the shoyu in here, and then we'll mix in the kare a little bit towards the end once all of the liquid has reduced. Just stirring up the sugar here so that it doesn't scorch. So we'll go ahead and let this brown for a little bit, and I'll see you back once we add in the liquid. Then we'll reduce it until most of the liquid is gone, and then we're going to add in the curry powder, and we'll essentially be done. So see you guys back in a bit. All right, so the konnyaku has got a nice brown crust on most of the surfaces. You can tell the good thing about using a light konnyaku is you can see when it's starting to brown. It's a little bit more difficult with the brown konnyaku. But no worries, you'll be able to tell because the texture gets a little bit irregular. And all we're doing now is we're gonna add in our seasonings, let it reduce, and that's essentially it. So once this has reduced, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the curry powder when there's a little bit of liquid left, and then that's gonna be it. The liquid has reduced by a little bit more than a half, so what we're gonna do now is add in the 2 teaspoons of curry powder, and this is just about gonna be it. So you can actually serve it after this point if you cannot wait. Alternatively, you can let it reduce all the way so that it's more like a dry curry, and totally up to you. Try both ways and see which one you like more. I personally like it on the drier side, so just try to make sure that all of the powder has been evenly dispersed across all the little pieces. You don't want any dry bits of curry powder in your konnyaku, so that wouldn't be too pleasant. Unless you really like curry powder, of course, and that dry, sandy texture that it would probably feel like if you were to eat it. Oh man, it smells amazing. Amazing. Sugoi. Sugoi. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this evaporate, and that's gonna be it for this dish. Ready for number 3 coming up. So we got our last dish, which is going to be made with erengi. Erengi is one of my favorite ingredients, and it's also known as the king mushroom in English. And it's got a very meaty flavor, not a meaty flavor, it's got a very meaty texture and a very mild flavor, which lends itself to easy seasoning for a variety of different sauces. And today we are going to be using bata joyu. Bata joyu is butter and shoyu or soy sauce. And if you've never had that combination before, wait until you try it. Just like the erengi is the king mushroom, bata joyu could be the king sauce. So the king mushroom, erengi, makes an awesome addition to many different dishes when you're looking for some additional protein as well as fiber, because mushrooms pack both of those. And They make a very healthy meat replacement if that's what you're going for, like I often do. Put your wonders to rest and give it a try, because we're gonna batajoyu these little konnyaku pieces and these little eringi pieces all day and all night long. Or actually just for a few minutes, and then we're gonna eat it all up because it's gonna be that delicious. So if you haven't combined yet some bata with some joyu or shoyu, you are going to be in for a treat. So, all right, so in this konnyaku recipe, what we're gonna be doing is making a batajoyu. Batajoyu is one of my favorite sauces. Essentially, it calls for 3 ingredients, at least the way that I like to make it. And if you understand a little bit of what I just said, then you might know what it is that goes into it. So the first thing that we're gonna be using is bata. This is about a tablespoon. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on the pan right now to get that nice and melted. And then we're gonna be using about 2 tablespoons of mirin. And then 2 tablespoons of shoyu. And we're gonna drop in all of our konnyaku here. This is 1 white block that has been scored lightly on both sides. This is almost gonna be like a batajoyu sashimi, but we're using konnyaku. And konnyaku makes a very delicious sashimi. If you've never had it before, maybe you can give it a try sometime. The only thing that we're gonna do at this time is reduce the liquid. And once it's about halfway reduced, you can actually serve it. Of course, if you want it reduced all the way, it's going to be a little bit of a thicker sauce. But the thing is, we're going to be actually also adding some lemon. You can add equal amounts, 1 to 1 to 1, lemon to shoyu to mirin, which is what I prefer. So this is going to be about a tablespoon, a little bit less than that today. You can also use lemon zest if you'd like a really super lemony taste, and that helps to cut down on some of the richness from the butter. Also a little bit of freshly cracked pepper for some nice peppery flavor, just a little bit. So let me know what you guys think. We're gonna go ahead and reduce this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then it's gonna be ready to serve. So see you back in a bit. All right guys, so it's just about done. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze the lemon, and we'll go ahead and serve it. So what'd you think? We made 3 delicious konnyaku dishes today. First, the kaminari konnyaku, second was the kare konnyaku, and third was the batajoyu konnyaku. And let me know which one you think you'll be trying first. I'd be curious. Or if you want to be trying all of them, let me know how they turn out. I'd be curious as well. If you have any tips, comments, questions, leave them below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this and you want to see more videos like this one. Hit the alarm bell for notifications and subscribe for more plant-based Japanese cooking. So konnyaku, if you haven't yet realized it yet, is a very simple ingredient that can be cooked and seasoned in a variety of different ways. And these are some of my favorites okazu, or Japanese side dishes. In our next video, what we're going to be doing is leveraging the power of komekoji. Komekoji is the aspergillus rice, which is fermented in either shoyu, soy sauce, or salt, which makes shiokoji, and then shoyu koji, or amakoji. And in this particular video that's going to be coming up next is going to be for a few dressings, which you can enjoy on some of those leafy greens known as salads if you enjoy salads. And you may not have known how important fermenting little microbes were to flavor. Now, did you? I know I didn't. Hataraki mono, such hard workers. Ne, desu yo ne, da yo ne. So in the next video, you'll learn 2 different ways to enjoy shiokoji in some leafy greens. You are a plant eater, aren't you? Well, if you look at your teeth, the flat teeth in the back, that sort of indicates that you're a plant eater as opposed to a shark or a tiger, which have very different teeth as compared to ours. And although we can eat both meat and plants, there's a reason why we have the flat teeth in the back. So consider that next time you are eating and have something that you wanted to think about. If you haven't yet realized it yet, plant-based Japanese food might do you some good. And these are called miracle berries. And if you've never had miracle berries before, basically it is an extract. These are not the actual miracle berries, but this is a fruit that comes from Africa, which changes the proteins on your tongue so that whenever you bite into something that's acidic, it's actually going to taste very sweet. Sweet as in candy sweet, which is why I was able to bite into that lemon without wincing. And if you've never done that before, you might want to give these a try because it is very, very cool. Acidic foods, lemon, lime, strawberries, Any kind of fruit really will work well, and it'll taste extra sweet. And it only lasts for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes at the most, but worth a try. The first time I did it was at Burning Man back in 2010. Was it 2010? 2010. Life-changing. So today what we're going to be doing is making konnyaku So today what we're going to be doing is making konnyaku